right, Ironman 70.3 sports fans, I think we are live. I've got my broadcasting stuff here on another stream so I can make sure that it's coming across good. You have to pardon me a little bit, a couple season coughs and clearing my throat and stuff. Allergies are getting the better of me with the wonderful forest fires out west. I live in Kansas City, but we're still being affected, and it's not affecting me very well. Anyway, let's get past that. I want to talk about Ironman 70.3 Michigan real quick. Let's talk about the swim course. I think it's going to be a pretty, straightforward swim course. So keep watching the channel. I'll be talking about run course, the bike course, weather, what to expect when they put out the athlete guide. I just checked on the website. The athlete guide is not out, but if you look under the athlete section, as you see in the background here, they've got the event schedule posted. So it is up, it is ready to go. So you've got kind of an idea. The athlete guide is still coming. They've got a connection to 70.3 Tour City for a feel of it. But I think there's going to be some things. When you look at the swim course, there's going to be some questions, and I'm going to kind of make an assumption on some of the answers. So let's dive right into it. So a little bit of background on me. Ryan Falker, Triathlon.com, Ironman certified coach. I've done 15 half Ironmans. I've done 8 full Ironman races. Have athletes doing this race. So I always do kind of a breakdown of the course and what I think. And a lot of people are interested in hearing about it. And I always want to, I find myself repeating myself. So I just record it, put it out there, and put it on YouTube later so people can kind of look over it. And if it helps you out, then great. So diving right into it, you pull up the swim course for 70.3 Michigan. And I kind of like this because I was a little bit worried. I've done Racine in the past, and once you get out into Lake Michigan, it can be rough waters, and it is usually super cold. I mean, you look at a website, average water temperature is 65 degrees Fahrenheit. I think that is optimistic. Well, maybe this year's been a little bit warmer than others, so maybe it's a little bit warmer, but pretty much bank on bringing a wetsuit for this one. Bank on bring your swim skin, but more than likely it's going to be wetsuit legal. I doubt that it's going to get, it had to be a nuclear heat wave, I think, to raise the temperature of that lake to a point where it would not be wetsuit optional. So definitely bring it, be ready for that. But looking at the course, I think it's very interesting because they've got these barriers, for waves and everything, and especially the little port area here. It's all within this little protected area. So what I've been worried about, and especially when I've been to Lake Michigan, I swam in it and other things. If it's windy and it's a big body of water, you can get some decent sized waves and some surf going on. This right here, I think, is going to help protect us. Protect you guys. I'm not doing the race this year, but whoever's doing it this year, I think you're going to get some protection. So I don't think waves should be much of an issue. Now, what is going to be an issue is you got 3 points of turning, but one's a sharp 90, another one's kind of an open, 110 degree turn, and then kind of a slight turn. So, we got right now, looking at this picture, you got 4 buoys, it looks like. Now, I would imagine they're going to put something at the turn so you know to turn there. So just make sure when you go out there, just look over the race course. You can go out here onto the bay, little bay area, whatever you want to call it. Look out there, see where they're putting the buoys at. When you get there, check in and just check it out. Make sure you know where the turns are, where the buoys are at. Usually turns are red. Leading up to a turn is orange to get you ready for it. And then just straight line is usually yellow. So just make sure, like I said, they've got the little thing right here. So just go out there and check out and see where they put the buoys. And that's going to be your sighting. So I'd recommend sighting often. Like I said, you're going to get some protection from these little barriers here. But you'll probably get some sort of waves. Just kind of count on it. I like bilateral breathing. Just gives me the opportunity to kind of do a head-up sight stroke in with my regular strokes, just to make sure you're staying on course, because that's where you lose the most energy is zigzagging around the course, especially with this many turns. It's probably going to be a rolling swim start. Like I said, the athlete guide isn't out yet now the time of this recording. So more than likely, it's going to be a rolling swim start. So every 5 seconds, they're going to let 3 or 4 people go. So pretty much it's going to be wall-to-wall people from start to finish. So plan on contact. Maybe, I always wear mirror goggles or tinted goggles just in case. And I've done the 2. I've done a full Ironman and a half Ironman. and both of them, one was raining and one was cloudy at the start. I don't have issues. I'm still able to see just fine. So I always bring just tinted goggles. Don't mess with it. So maybe bring tinted, bring clear, whatever you prefer. Like I said, bring your wetsuit, full sleeve if you got it. I think it's going to be cold enough for it, and it definitely helps with buoyancy and helps with swimming, especially if there's a little bit of currents or something like that coming in that could push you more to shore. So that's going to be one thing with the sighting. There's a little bit of a current coming in, kind of pushing you to shore. You always want to make sure that your sighting is staying on course because you can add a lot of distance and time weaving around trying to stay on course. And plus, you're going to have to make sure you hit these turns because if you don't, you're going to be either DQ'd or a penalty or something like that. So don't be that person. But it's kind of nice because you can sight into the little inlet here and then sight in straight into the transition area. Now, the other thing I want you guys to be aware of, guys and gals, the swim start is a little bit of ways away from transition. Des Moines 70.3, Tulsa, we had to walk usually about a mile or so to the swim start. So just be prepared. You're going to have to walk. I know for a past race that they had for a 70.3 Oregon, pretty much you had to walk the entire distance. It was a river swim. They ended up getting morning gear bags, so you can take your stuff to the swim start and put it in the bag and then give it to somebody to take back to transition. Don't bring anything. Don't bring your phone. Don't bring your car keys. Don't put anything like that in it. But just change of clothes and cheap flip flops or something like that if you want to wear them. For Ironman Tulsa, I brought just some cheap water shoes and put in my morning gear bag, and they brought it back. Des Moines 70.3, I didn't need shoes. I just walked barefoot on the concrete, and it wasn't that big of a deal. So just be aware. More than likely, they're going to have you set up in transition, and then they're going to have to walk all the way down for the swim start. So allow extra time when you get out there, extra time to get set up, and then extra time to walk over, because as soon as they start calling swim times until you start walking over, you got to be with it because they're going to get you over there and they're going to get you staged. They're going to get you water because they want to get you in there and started as soon as possible. They're not jacking around. They're not going to let you go around and pick your nose and hang out in the porta potties all day. Once you get set up, they're going to start walking out there. They want everybody here before they start the race, and they're going to start getting you out of here. So I think the key is going to be sighting. I think it'd be protected from if there's any rough waters that day, especially with these barriers in here. And the other key is bring a wetsuit because it's probably going to be cold and it's going to bring a wetsuit legal. So I think that's going to be the big key. So other than that, I mean, it looks, it's not uphill. There's no elevation gain. You're swimming in the water. It's not that big of a deal. Like I said, I highly encourage bilateral breathing and working in a sighting stroke. I do every 3 to 4 strokes. I do a sighting stroke. So it just helps me stay on course. And the efficiency that I lose on my swim stroke is made up by the fact I'm not zigzagging all over the place. And if you don't like contact in the water, you need to swim wide on these turns because it bottlenecks at these turns, especially when they're putting 4 to 5 athletes at a time in the water. Seed yourself correctly. I've done plenty of videos on swim seeding yourself. Don't be as concerned with the time cutoffs. You still get the same amount of time. Yes, the hard time cutoff for the bike course at a certain time of day when their permit expires, that's going to be a wall for you. But just focus on getting in there because you don't want to get swam over. You don't want to have to swim around people. But if you get swam over, it kind of throws you off your game to get elbowed in the back of the head because more aggressive swimmers will just swim over you. They will not, politely just swim around you. They will swim over you. They will pull you out of the way. Just be prepared for that. It happens, and not to scare anybody, but you could swim wide and probably get a little less traffic. But I'm in 70.3 Des Moines. We were 5 to 6 people wide, and with about 1 to 2 feet in between each person. I mean, it was a wide swath of people. So especially if you don't like that contact, swim wide on the turns. Don't dive into that turn because you bottleneck 6, 7 people at a time running through those turns, and you're going to get contact. So just be ready for that. So I think that's the main things. It's nothing, it's not rocket science here. Just like I said, be prepared for that walk from transition to the swim start. Just be ready for that time. Don't get there at the last minute. Give yourself plenty of time. You'd rather be over here at the swim start with all your stuff and be sitting around, on the sand relaxing, rather than hectically running around transition trying to get set up and everything over there. So I think that's the big key is just make sure that you give yourself plenty of time to get that swim start. Don't get stressed out. When you come to do check-in, come check out where the buoys are at. Make sure you know where the turns are going to be. Just because this diagram doesn't look great, I don't see that they necessarily, more than likely they will put red turn buoys here. Like these little buoys should be like yellow or orange because it's just sighting buoys. But so this looks a little bit low on what they would actually put out there for sighting wise. But it's kind of nice because you come to this inlet, so it's kind of hard to miss it. But make sure you make those turns, because if you don't, like I said, somebody could catch you inadvertently cut in the corner and then DQ you on the race or something like that. So when you get done with the race, your result shows as a DNF or a DQ because you didn't make all the turns. So I think that pretty much hits the highlights. I'm going to say it's going to be wetsuit legal. 68 degrees or 65 degrees Fahrenheit average water temperature. You're in Lake Michigan. It's going to be cold, and even with the heat waves going on, I don't think you're going to get the water high enough that it's going to be minimum is going to be wetsuit optional. So bring a wetsuit for sure. Speed suit if you think there's an outside chance, but I don't really see one. But just bring it. I always bring it to all my races. The speed suit does not take up that much room in your bag, so just have it to be safe. And that's basically kind of, it's a straightforward swim. Like I said, it's nothing crazy. It's a one loop swim. Start, swim, go to the beach, and get out. Just make sure you're sighting. Make sure don't take too many strokes and get off course. Don't pull the left or the right. You're going to get swam over and you're going to get way off course. You're going to waste a lot of time on that. And like swim goggles, like I said, I always use tinted, so it's not really that big of a deal for me to. I don't bring clear goggles or whatever, depending on the overcast or whatever clouds. So I personally wouldn't recommend it. I always just bring tinted goggles, and I do just fine, even if it's cloudy. But that's basically it. I mean, it's nothing crazy, but just be prepared, be ready, be acquainted with the course when you go out there. Check it out, because seeing it on a map is one thing, but when you go out there in person, it could be a little bit different, a little bit off. Make sure you check the maps at check-in, just in case the off chance they've changed something since they put this map up on the website. They do try to keep it up to date, but things happen, and who knows what can happen, and it could change the course a little bit. But that's it. So if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you're seeing this on YouTube, give it a thumbs up. If there's anything I missed, put comments in there. And happy training, guys, and have a great race day. We'll talk to you next time on either the bike, the run, the weather, the lodging, or anything like that. So talk to you later.